What's good, everybody? This is Blair Johnson coming at you from the Badass Records podcast studio. It took me, almost 60 episodes into this thing, a year and change, to make an intro or a promo, whatever you call this thing. But here I am. Badass Records podcast is where we hang one-on-one, talk about your story and some of your favorite records along your life's journey. And I've made it work to this point, but to be frank, I need guests. So if you live in the Kansas City area, or you know somebody in the Kansas City area that would be a good guest, or if you're going to be in the Kansas City area and you want to stop by, hit me up, badassrecordspodcast@gmail.com. It's badassrecordspodcast@gmail.com. You can find the podcast on Instagram and Twitter and kind of sort of TikTok. Badassrecordspodcast.com gives you everything you're looking for, the story about the show, some merch, etc. Nevertheless, thanks for stopping by. Hope you enjoy the show. So let's see here. So this will be episode 59 of Badass Record Podcasts.
I see. I didn't even see you.
We'll have you
Cool.
throw your name up on the wall when we're done.
Excellent.
And I'm hanging with Ian Hallowell.
Yes.
Correct?
Ian Hallowell.
Hallowell.
Yes, Hallowell. Yep.
Or
I also go by the Cheeto Flow.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
The Cheeto portion, anyway.
Yes.
Where would I have heard that?
It's my Instagram handle. It's also my stage name.
Right.
I mean, other than that,
I feel like maybe.
some people call me that.
Yeah.
Musically, that's kind of what I go by. It's my stage
Okay. No, but I mean, I feel like maybe you told me and I
Yeah.
just forgot or something like that. Have we ran into each other at Pink Talking Fish, right?
Yes,
Is that
we
the last
did.
time we saw each other?
Pink Talking Fish is like the last time we ran into each
Yes.
other. Yes.
Are you in touch with so that's how we know each other. Is your
Yeah.
uncle
Yeah.
Jake
Yeah.
is actually your uncle?
Yes. Yep.
And have you been in touch with him in the last couple days or so, or
The last couple days? No. I haven't.
he reached out about because summer tour
Yeah.
went on
Just
sale.
popped up, yep.
Yeah, and he said his text. It felt like there's a tray line from Tab. Summer's coming, and I'd like a review.
Okay.
And I don't know if he tried, but he's clever like that. And
He
so his
is.
text said, "Summer's coming, and I'd like to see some shows with you."
Nice. Oh, he's so clever.
And I was like, and funny as fuck, dude.
Yes.
Like his
Yes.
humor,
It's
the void in our hockey locker room, his
Right.
departure left humor wise.
Man.
But anyway, he was like, what do you know? What? And so I looked, and he was like, I'm thinking this, and I was like, what about that? And then our conversation fizzled. But then, like 2 days later, he was like, I put in for like four cities,
Right.
all multi, and he's like, who knows? These days, it's
Right.
fucking garbage.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we did 10 straight years, the first 10 years of Dicks together, Jake and I.
Wow.
And then last year we missed because we got shut out lottery,
Okay.
shut out public on sale,
Damn.
and then of course, what do you call it? Secondary market. It's like triple, you know?
Yeah. No, it's insane.
So we said, fuck it. Like,
Right.
let's go. He was like, what do you think about, and we kept, you've ever been in the Ticketmaster queue where you got like the dude walking up
Right.
and then you're,
Right.
so we kept screenshotting each other that and then trying to anyway. So he was like, what about Atlantic City,
Right.
and 3 nights. And I was like, so I went straight, I got out of the thing and went straight into there and bought 2 3-night passes in like 15 seconds.
Nice.
And
Nice.
and he goes, sometimes I wish that like while I'm laughing at his shit. I'm like, why am I don't have that knee jerk clip. So he immediately
took improv classes right when he was a kid. That's
for
what
real?
it was. Yes, he
Okay.
took improv classes. So
Well,
he took classes to be that Woody.
Shouts out to Uncle Jake.
Shout out
but
to Uncle Jake.
He hit me back as soon as I sent him the screenshot showing the confirmation of the tickets. He said, put your makeup on, fix your hair up pretty, and meet me tonight in Atlantic. So I was like, fucking let's go.
Yep.
Oh, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, all on the beach.
Right. No, that's what I heard. I saw pictures.
Right.
Dude.
Right. And, I've talked about him a lot across 58 episodes and how, our last year of Dick's, so last year was year 11, but our last year being year 10, he, just handled everything. He got the tickets, the hotel room, the rent-a-car. We rolled into town and we went straight to a pub that his buddy owns, and then we played 18 holes of golf.
Nice.
And then we were, basically holed up in a tiny little hotel room for a week. Mm-hmm. And so it was like late night food, and sleeping in, like no shortage of fucking just violations of the bathroom and sleep farts and nose picking, and then sleeping, get some coffee, and then we would literally for like 3 days we laid on our hotel beds and watched the U.S. Open. There was a Chipotle across the way, like somewhere around midday. Should we go get and it was vacation. Like I still can't stop thinking about how I know zero other humans that I could hole up with in the tight space and just have it be fucking flawless and chill. Absolutely. And absolutely. Like there are plenty of times where he's like, what do you think about blah blah? I'm like, I don't really feel like making a decision. Can you just it's like a couple. Can you just decide for me? And then I'll be happy to eat wherever.
I'm down for whatever, dude.
Yeah.
Yup.
But anyway,
that's a vacation, like to have some time to hang out and party and go see some things, but also to take that time to rest.
Yeah.
Because I know so many people that go and they vacation, they try to pack everything they possibly can into this vacation. Vacation should be lifting, you should feel rested.
Yeah.
In other words.
Well, I have something of a unique scenario that's mostly my fault or responsibility or whatever, and that my position, most like 99+% of people will like have multiple vacation buddies. Yeah. And you present them with an itinerary with lead time, hey, can you cover me? And I am not. Zero teachers would give me an A+ in a class called planning. Sometimes just preparing the itinerary and getting the people the information is like too stressful. And it's just absolutely. Like I'll just cover my own shit.
Absolutely.
But I'm not. I don't have to attend your meeting and go to this thing. I'm off, but I'll still just do the things anyway. So I do that. I just cover all my own stuff, and in addition, because it's less stressful. Right. And in addition, I've always been a firm, and I follow through with this. I always take the day after the travel home off. Yeah. I've done that for years. Yeah. Recently added is day before travel. Right. So that I don't have to do a whole day of work and then squeeze everything in. I don't fucking pack ahead of time.
Right, neither do I.
I'm like, it's 2. Uh-huh. My flight's at 5. Yep. I should put some shit in a suitcase and close my eyes for a minute.
Toothbrush, toothpaste, deodorant.
Tickets, money, ID.
I don't have time for it. Whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, man. I just, I don't know if that I was ever really cut from the cloth of how vacation should look. Right. It's just kind of like I'm lucky to be in a different city right now. I'm going to see 3 nights of live music and
see, I feel like that's how vacation should be looked at.
Right.
You know, it should be you're in a new place, and it shouldn't be, oh, I'm going here and here and here and here and here and here to these resorts and to this and that. You know, it should be like, all right, I'm coming here for this particular thing.
Yeah.
And then I want to see what else this city, what this place, this country even has to store, you know? It has to offer.
Yeah, I took my kids to...
I like the spontaneousness of vacations.
Grade school buddy in Virginia.
Yeah.
Got 2 kids, roughly the same age. I took them out there for a week.
Oh, excellent. That's
Real close to DC, and they were like, you know, what sleeping arrangements, and I was like, where it doesn't matter, it'll be fine. What do you want to go do? I was like, I want to do like 3 things, and I don't even care, but I'm gonna do one thing per day.
Right.
You know, we'll go to this place and see this thing, and then come back, and we're hanging out with you guys. That's the vacation. We'll see a couple, but we're not gonna like try and,
absolutely,
you know, no thanks.
Yeah.
But anyway, the BadassRecordsPodcast.com freshly launched merch line, mugs and Yetis and hats and T-shirts and whatnot.
Awesome.
And basically, you know, the gig is to chat music, but also chat, you know, about your story.
Right.
And before I will listen to as best I can music from your list and jot down some interesting things. Most of the time I don't know shit about the records, and so I'm just it's just interesting stuff.
Absolutely. I got a whole bunch for you.
But before I even put your name on the page, I couldn't get away from this notion that you have a name that really sort of speaks to like wanting to be announced.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like a MMA fight or a boxing match or a stand-up comic.
Cheeto Flow.
Well, that one too. But I mean, if you go, you know, like Ian Hallowell, I mean, there's a whole bunch of ways you could drag it out and make it fucking.
It's funny, as a kid, when I was in football, little leagues or whatever, there's always a volunteer announcer, you know, who's pretty, you know, the dude did pretty well, but every year he could never get my name right on one of the first times, and one year he called me Ian Halloween, but he did the Ian Halloween.
Wow, that is an egregious.
Didn't even try.
Damn.
Didn't even try. You're right though. That it is kind of a. Never really thought about it like that.
So, are you born and raised here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And siblings?
Yep, I have JD, my brother.
You guys full blood brothers?
We're half brothers.
Half, okay, okay.
Half blood brothers, same mom. And then I have my younger sister who we also only have the same mom.
Okay. So I went out to, was it 2019? I went out to see some shows in South Carolina with your brother.
Okay.
Or your uncle, sorry. And
Charleston,
your mom was here. They're in Texas. She was somewhere for a while, so I stayed in her room.
Okay, yeah.
And there was, I took a picture of it, but there was a picture of your brother. Did he put out a record?
Yep.
Yeah.
He put out a couple CDs.
Okay. I think somewhere on the. I was like, what the fuck? I didn't know.
Yep. He has a couple CDs.
So what's the? What are your guys' ages?
Me, my brother is 9 years older than I am. So
okay.
He's 33. I am 24. My sister is 22.
Okay. And where are they?
My brother is up. They're both up north of the river.
Okay.
So my brother now owns the Hideout. It's a little blues bar up North River. He's been working at forever.
Really?
Yep.
He owns a bar?
Yep. He's part owner. Yep.
Okay. Is there live music there?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Most nights a week. Fridays and Saturdays for sure. They have an open jam on Thursdays, which is kind of cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
How often do you get up there?
I actually am helping them out in the kitchen right now.
Okay.
They're kind of struggling in the kitchen, you know. So helping them out.
Nice.
Mondays and Fridays.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, until they can find some other people, you know.
So your mom and dad, do you know how they met?
You know, I actually don't know how they met. My dad's a trucker.
Okay.
He was on the road forever and then came here for something, and they met somehow.
Okay. Are they both still around?
Yep.
And
yep.
are they?
My mom is she's the GM at this American Legion in Smithville.
Okay.
So she's running that up there.
Okay.
So service industry runs in my family.
Yeah.
And then my dad, he's they split up when I was like 6 or 7. And then he lives in Texas now with his wife. Yeah.
Okay. So memories of them under the same roof, or were you too little, or okay?
So yep, I was like 6, 7, and I remember, or my earliest memories were with them together.
Okay.
So and in fact, I'm adopted. My dad,
oh, for real?
So my dad, he's technically not my biological father.
Okay.
I didn't know that till I was 17. So up until then, my earliest memories were them together.
Right.
And they were good memories,
Yeah.
Memories, but
looking back, did you say you're 34?
24. I'm 24.
You're 24. Okay.
My brother's 34.
So, I mean, that's relatively still fresh news.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
But you've got some time between now and having learned it.
Right.
How do you feel about the wait until 17? Was that the right call, or?
I think I had no clue. I had no idea because my mom's my biological mom.
Okay.
And there's pictures of me coming out of the womb.
Oh, well, yeah, of course.
I have the red hair, so it's no doubt it's me.
Yeah.
So it was never like, I think everyone has that thought, like, what if I was adopted? But like, I don't know. When she told me it was definitely a lot, and I couldn't even really fathom of it.
Okay. So
to be honest, I was high on LSD when she told me.
No shit. Did she know?
She didn't.
Oh.
I don't think she does know.
You were hanging out with your mom on LSD?
Nah, not on purpose. I was getting in a lot of trouble, doing a lot of, bullshit, skipping school all the time and getting high. And I skipped school and was high on LSD, and I come home and she got a call from school that was not good. They wanted to kick me out for good because I wasn't showing up.
Up north?
And Park Hill South.
Okay.
And it became, it was just like, I'm not sure why she told me then, but I think it was just like,
you haven't
there
asked
needs
her?
to be a change. No. I mean, honestly, we've always been super tight.
No, I know, but I mean, like, I think that she carried it with her for 17 years.
You're right.
So I guess, what are the camps? Like, tell them as soon as they're old enough to be able to process that, or tell them when they're an adult, or never tell them, right?
I think my mom just didn't want me to hate my dad. I think she
bio dad or
my adopted dad,
okay,
because he's kind of an asshole.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, he's an asshole.
Okay.
I mean, he's a good enough guy, but
sure.
he's an asshole.
Damn. Are they still?
No. She,
okay.
She
also says he's a.
Yep. Oh yeah. And she didn't want to say that in front of me because she wanted me just to think that because she thinks that,
right.
Which was really cool. But yeah, I don't know. That is a good point.
So you think that she was like, this might help him like straighten the path or whatever,
right? Because she wanted me to have a father, and I guess I think it was a one night stand of how I was became to be.
Okay.
And she said she did contact this person, and he was terrible. She just didn't want someone like that to be even in her life, let alone her kid's life. I didn't need to know any more than that.
Yeah.
But
so you don't have any interest in trying to.
I really don't.
Okay.
I really don't.
Well, but anyway, good positive memories.
Yeah.
And so was there, were they putting on music or even after he was gone, was she putting on? What do you remember?
Grew up on, I remember, so when they were together, we listened to country music.
Sure.
My dad loves country music. Actually, it's kind of just Hank Hill, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But like a little bit more.
Is that the, God damn it?
Yep,
okay.
Yep. A little bit more of an asshole though.
Right.
Anyways, so we listened to country. My mom grew up on country music too. She
sure.
loves country music and bluegrass music. But she was the one that took me to concerts. So
okay.
My first concert ever, I don't really remember. I was 6 or 7. Was Garth Brooks.
Oh wow. Was he big by then?
Yeah, it was the first year actually. The Sprint Center opened, so it was that first
Oh,
year he came
wow.
and did like 9 nights in Kansas City.
Yeah. We all
went-
think
went
the
up-
Pittsburgh Penguins are moving here. and
right.
We're voting on whether or not should we charge people that rent cars at the airport $10 a day to help pay for our cent. I was like, what? Okay, sure. Anyway,
And so
you fell asleep.
I fell asleep. It was whatever. My first real concert I remembered, and I really was excited about going to was Ozzy Osbourne.
Okay.
So up until I was 12, middle school, I was listening to heavy, 70s, 80s, 90s heavy metal.
Okay.
Didn't really get into a lot of the like newer stuff, but I was young and just listened to whatever was playing
Sure.
around. But about that time, my mom also took me to my first Swag concert, Grateful Dead tribute concert.
Yeah.
And we'd started going every year, Thanksgiving, and started going all the time.
Do they
and
host swag stock?
they did at
Okay.
Swag Stock. Yep.
Yeah.
Down in at Camp Zoe.
Okay.
Never made it down there, but
Right.
I heard it was
So
wild.
this when you had this conversation with her and you're on LSD, how many times had you taken it before?
a lot.
Okay.
To be honest, we had access to it, and we had vials of it at that time.
Liquid?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. One of my friend's moms found out he was doing it, and her boyfriend owned a weed farm in Oregon, and she was like, well, actually, one of our buddies, when we were 15, before I ever taken it, he had died from taking from 25I, a research chemical that is similar to LSD, but you can take too much of and die. So she's like, well, if my son is already taking it, then I'm not going to let someone else spike his bag with something, I'm just going to give him whatever. And then it kind of got out of control, but
Wow.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Okay,
It was crazy. So we were doing it. I was skipping school every day, not to smoke weed, to get high on LSD.
Every day?
Almost every day. That or mushrooms.
For how long?
Probably 8 months.
I mean, like, you
we were
need your body,
spun out.
even
We were
young, your
spun-
body has to recover from a trip.
Spun out.
I did, there was a 4-night Red Rocks fish run in 96, and I dosed all 4.
Yeah.
And I was like,
At the end of it, you're like,
I mean, I had fun the first night. I
Right.
think that I convinced myself I was having fun the second night.
Right.
And then the third and fourth night, they weren't not fun, but I think I was just aware of, like, there's a lot of compartments of my body that are kind of, like, breaking down right now.
Yeah.
And I need to, Anyway, that being said, I think it's probably pretty common, at least my experience has been, that most folks that decide to experiment with LSD or mushrooms go the mushrooms route.
Yes.
Yes. And a lot of those some of those folks, like, even to this day, they were like, oh, I was too terrified then, I'm too terrified now.
Yeah.
I've always been a pretty big advocate. I have certainly enjoyed many an occasion with mushrooms, but LSD is fucking magical, and like, I without question am who I am.
Yeah.
Because of I'm not, let's say I don't know, man, let's just say 20 times with both.
Right.
Spaced
Right.
out
Right.
over 17
And that's the best way to do it.
to 20. I don't even know. Not too far into my 20s.
Right.
I started having. I always say that, like, first time on mushrooms was like, here's the fun and here's the stomach issues.
Right.
And each trip it ratcheted, and then I remember I was on Anderson Island in the Puget Sound.
Okay.
Just fucking gore, and it finally, and I, like, puked up some bile.
Right.
Like it looked like pieces of my gut.
Right.
And this is, from the minute I ingest, I retch. you know,
Yeah,
and
me
it
too,
does.
yeah.
And then as the thing starts to take, it gets like more, kind of violent.
Yeah, it gets stuck in your tooth, and like you taste it again, and like comes back.
What?
Yeah.
But point being, like I never had that with LSD. It was always, I mean, definitely
Right.
There's like an electric edge
Yeah.
that let me know this is chemical,
Right,
not
right.
like the
Kinda
mushrooms.
feel it on your tongue a little bit.
Just
not even,
all
like,
over.
The tingling inside.
I had I just came across this like 2 days ago, and it was sort of an explanation of this phenomenon that I had a couple times. Both of these times, I'm in Pittsburgh, Kansas, freshman in college, going to Pittsburgh State, and one of the times, I was wherever I was like, I got to get out of here, and I needed to like just drive.
Right.
And so I got in my car, and I'm driving. So you know where Pittsburgh is, 2 hours straight south on 69 from here. Kind of close to Joplin, kind of close to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
But so I'm northbound on 69, not too far out of town, and I'm driving a stick, and my left ankle, I just sort of start flexing it and rubbing it against, because I'm in fifth speed. I don't need the clutch, and sort of rubbing it against the wall of the interior of the car. And it was like one of the best feelings I've ever had. Like I couldn't stop doing it.
Right.
And the only reason I did stop was because I kind of sat with that for a while and got to a point where I was like, I'm pretty far outside of town now. I should turn around and head back and like return to safety.
Right.
But another time,
thrill.
another time, same. I'm in the dorms, my buddy's room. I'm on his like lower bunk. Up again, and the bunk beds are up against a cinder block wall like this, and there's a bunch of dudes hanging out playing, either Mortal Kombat or Sonic, and there's Candlebox is probably playing and on stair. And anyway, the point, I sort of the same kind of thing started rubbing my jaw up against this concrete with a cinder block wall, and it was like
You couldn't stop.
It's like akin to orgasm. But not at all.
Right, the same. It's not sexual.
No, but it
it's
feels so good.
Yep.
Anyway, I've learned over the years that most folks don't. I've found myself in public conversations sort of pimping the LSD experience. People are like, stop talking about.
Did you say LSD?
Yeah, well, you're just here, and people can hear you, and you're talking about how amazing acid is, and I'm like, yeah, that's not illegal for me to say. Like, anyway,
you think the cops are gonna come and start searching me because I said the word LSD,
or put me on the bad parent poster board and say, don't,
Right.
But anyway, I haven't done much more than like pause mid scroll about 24 times when I come across, not so much now, but a year and a half, 2 years ago, I felt like microdose things were in my Instagram feed and I was like, where, just point me where, and I will sign up and give you my credit card, and think that would be, and then I don't see it much anymore, and I'm too lazy to like look into it. But
I had a friend that did a local study, so they gave him they gave him 8 grams of psilocybin, or
just over a quarter.
Equivalent of 8 grams of psilocybin mushrooms, just like in a little capsule.
Okay.
And it was a research study, so they did 3 nights. You stayed overnight, and one night was a control, one night was a small dose, and one night was the big dose, and it was completely
not 8 grams though.
It was 8 grams equivalent. Yeah, that was the point. So
take me to the mental hospital.
That was the point. They wanted to see how it like too much could go on people, and it was a process. You had to make sure they didn't have any mental illnesses and all that stuff. They don't just accept anyone for these things, but. And I know there are other smaller ones for micro doses, for just a regular 2 to 3 gram dose, stuff like that.
You gotta get yourself. We forgot to cheers. You gotta get yourself a refill.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. But yeah, they have those things in town. They also have ones for ketamine.
So, right?
Yeah.
So how was the experience for him?
He said he freaked the fuck out. He said he completely freaked the fuck out on the 8. Yeah, the big dose, the
How,
god
how
dose.
long did the freak out last?
He said he was like, it came on fast and hard,
Fuck.
and you know, because
Oh, man, I
the
would
more
cry.
you do, the faster it comes and the harder it hits you, and you know, all of a sudden the room isn't looking like it does. And this is a person also that has done a lot of psychedelics.
Okay.
You know, it's not
Sure.
It's nothing new.
You think you know what to expect.
Right, and you do, but it's, you know, it's like psilocybin made in a lab. You know,
Right.
like it's specifically, it's like the purest form. You know.
Yeah.
And yeah, he said he freaked out and he was just like was like, I need a cigarette. I need to smoke a cigarette because you're in this room that they give you and you have to stay in this room, and you to be able to leave the room you have to be like checked in and out,
Sure.
almost as a kid in a school with
Right.
a hall monitor or whatever. And because legally you're insane, you know, you're crazy, whatever. But he's like, I need a cigarette. I just give me a cigarette. I just need to chill out. So they finally like got permission to give him a cigarette, and he went outside and he needed to talk to somebody. So they gave him permission to call his girlfriend at the time. And he's like, I just need to hear a familiar voice. Because that's one thing with when you're tripping too hard. It's so new. You need something familiar. You need familiarity.
Yeah, man. Like, so if this is your brain, and whatever, you know, because supposedly psilocybin, we have psilocybin naturally. Anyway, it's like not even visible in the.
Right.
It's so small, this tucked away corner, and when that is activated or you consume it or whatever, like it really, the whole perspective of the world kind of outgrows all of your brain, and it's just all of this, and then if you get that familiar, it kind of shrinks into where you're like, okay, I know what's up and down now.
What it's actually doing is it's making a heightened version of any sense that you have, any emotion that you have. So if that's when you have a bad trip, you get freaked out, so you're extra freaked out.
Sure.
You know, when you're happy, you're extra happy. That sensation you had of rubbing your foot or rubbing your cheek, that was extra. It's heightened all of that. So, you know, that's, you know, the stigma.
So
is
hearing
don't
her
think of that
voice
spot, you know?
helped him.
And that, yes, so that's exactly what it did. I've had experiences where I saw a familiar face, and that brought me back up out of a trip where I was just spiraling in my head, you know.
95 fall tour. I'm in Colorado. Come back to do Kansas City, Cedar Rapids, Lincoln.
Nice.
With my sister and a bunch of other friends. So like a lot of my friends met at my mom's, and we went down to the show, and my sister went to and partied with her friends. And I was like, I have mushrooms. Save us some blah blah blah. Well, I didn't know, so they were late. They found me on the floor like second or third song, and I was like, hey, you know, here's that, and I didn't realize that they had like split a bottle of Bacardi, and so set break comes, and her friend is like not looking good, not doing well.
Yeah.
So and this is at Municipal downtown, and so we get out into the concourse. And there's a whole series of doors that lead to the outside, and I can tell that, like, we need to get her outside, get her some fresh air. And security is like,
looking at her.
You can't don't open that door. You can't go. And then he comes over and like gets his first look at her face. He's like, oh shit, like whatever you guys got to do.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. And so we got her some fresh air, and then got her back inside, and she flopped on the ground and was just convulsing, and there's white foam coming out of her mouth, and I was like, oh my fucking God.
Terrifying.
Like, and so she's on her back on the floor, and I straddled her and squatted down as if I was going to like sit on her, but I just,
make sure no one steps on her.
Right. And kind of like was rubbing her shoulder, maybe rubbing her head, and then she turned and we locked eyes. And as soon as we locked eyes, she's, you know, kind of came back and came out of it.
Yep.
And it was just a familiarity thing.
Yep.
I was like, oh my fucking God. Like,
yeah.
Anyway, so talking to her helped your friend on the big night.
Yeah.
And do you think that you escaped the pocket of heavy use days unscathed, or
unscathed? No, just because of what has come with it. When you do acid all the time, every day, and you skip school, you do going to school, so you don't really have anywhere to be. I was hanging out with some really rambunctious people,
okay,
The drugs part, we were pretty much just doing LSD and mushrooms,
right?
smoking a lot of weed.
But I mean,
And with that, I think it hindered me on a lot of societal norms. So I would look at things and be like, I don't understand why I have to do this arbitrary work at school, and I would talk to
still at 17.
yeah,
Okay.
and I would make real debates about how arbitrary our homework is and this and that at school, and
You would express these to like teachers and shit
these very much so
in
very
front of
expressive,
other students
in front
too.
of everybody, or I've gone to the principals. I've had meetings with our counselors and all of that to have rules change, and usually it just brought on more rules that were written because of me. I was just like, well, think about it this way, and blah blah blah. But I didn't understand, you can't just stand up in middle of class and demand something, just because you don't like the way it is.
Right.
There's a way about it, there's
Right.
a way to go about it. You can, while things may not be fair, you can do it in a better way.
Sure. So
but
how many times do you think you did dose?
I couldn't tell you how many times I did it.
Over 40?
I'm definitely over 40. So between that 8 months, we probably went through 3 vials between 6 of us.
Man.
And we'd sell a little bit of it, but to our friends or whatever.
How big of a dose at one time do you think you took?
We'd started with 1 or 2, and it'd get up to 3 or 4, and get up to 5 or 6. Damn. Because the tolerance, it just grows.
No, like spine weirdness or anything lingering you think is maybe?
I've definitely had that afterwards. I stopped doing it so much, had some bad experiences, and in fact, I woke up in the hospital one time.
No kidding?
Yeah, I was was at a concert, ate a lot. So at this time, I started branching out and started talking to other people that were much older than me that were doing these things. And these guys were 30, and been doing this same thing for the last 10 years. And I'm still kind of new to it. And so I thought I could hang with those guys.
Oh, shit.
And they just kept feeding me. Well, I got a little freaked out, and I left the concert at Grinders. Went to my car, and, the stars are moving, and I'm like things are coming in and out of reality, and I have to go pee. And usually I would just go to the dumpsters behind the building right over here and go pee, where I always go to at that venue behind Josie Records. But in my psyched out mind, I was like, no, a cop's going to show up with my dick's going to be out. And I was so scared.
That's a ticket.
So I walked across the street to the porta potties right outside the front gate. While I'm in there, an ambulance shows up because someone got hurt. And there's a cop that showed up too. And so I walk out, and there's a paramedic wheeling someone into the ambulance, or wheeling out of the ambulance, actually. And there's a cop standing there. And I'm shirtless, and my eyes are, I'm sure, just huge. And he looks at me and says, son, come with me. I need to talk to you. And I'm trying to walk over naturally. You know,
talking
to me. Dude, I don't know what. I was like, well, just answer his questions and you'll get out of here. No problem. And he told me to sit down, and I sat down. And he said, son, what are you on? And I said, what? He said, what drugs are you on? And I was like, I didn't do any drugs. And I stood up, and he grabbed my shoulder. And when I stood up, I started to get tunnel vision. I stood up too fast. And I never came back from that tunnel vision. And till later, all of a sudden, it was this alien beeping over here, and these sounds were happening. And then I kind of looked at this weird alien screen, and I looked over, and I saw my dad and my mom, my brother, and my sister. My mom, they all looked young. My brother was probably 9, probably the age of when I was born. A vision. And my sister was 2 or 3 years old, and they all looked at me, and they said, oh, good, you're back. And they dissipated. And I looked around.
Evaporated?
Yeah.
And, oh, my God.
Yeah. And I was like, whoa. And I kind of looked around, and I noticed that this arm and this leg was like chained to the bed. I was like, what? There's a blanket over me, but this arm is free and this big needle in my arm. My first thought is I'm waking up from the Matrix. You know, there's needles and I'm like chained and all of a sudden I realize I'm naked. Apparently what happened was I stood up and blah, blah, blah. The cop said I was like trying to like run and he like tackled me and in this whole thing I took off my pants and he put handcuffs on me and they took me to the hospital.
Wow.
Put me in the mental ward for
shit.
day, yeah.
Hold that thought. I gotta let that dog
Yeah, it's
out.
okay.
Wow. So mental ward for a day.
Yeah. So basically that was about the time that I slowed down.
I was gonna say that. Oh, you're back. Vision.
Yeah, a
spoke
real
to you, maybe.
True, like, just I was in a completely another universe, you know?
Yeah.
And it just realized, you know, there's real life consequences in this universe that can happen from being in that other universe.
Right.
So you have to be careful. I highly encourage everyone to go through a similar height of LSD that I went through,
You can
but in a
ash and
safe. Excellent. Thank
Lover's kit.
you. Excellent. I love that.
That's about the only thing. The lid is somewhere, which was better, but I don't know where it is right now.
All good. Yeah, usually I find something myself. I have my lid or
There you go.
But
Man. Okay. Whew.
but really, I have a very unique, you know, perspective on it because usually when most people discover psychedelics, they discover it in their adulthood. And they have a little bit.
Is that
more,
true?
I feel like a lot of people do.
Okay.
Maybe not. Maybe
Okay.
not. In my experience.
Sure. But I mean, so are you counting 17 as adulthood or?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm with you then. Yeah, for
you know,
sure.
like, you know, or even 16, you get your car and you start experiencing the world a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
have a conscious sense of self, you know. And
I love your shirt, by the way.
thanks, my grandma made it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And when you eat psychedelics, you eat some and you start to feel it most of the time, you're not trying to do more. So with going back to doing it every day, you know, it was an ego thing, you know. I wanted to eat as much as possible. I
Okay.
heard stories of Ozzy Osbourne eating it every day for a year just to see what happened.
No way.
You know, that's
Really?
in his book. That's in
Every
his book.
day for a year, LSD?
That's in his book. That's what he wrote. Or said to someone
Sure,
that wrote it.
sure. And then late in his career, he wound up with a TV show, so
Right.
he could take you places.
So, you know, and that's kind of what I thought back then, but to do that, it's an ego thing. It's not like cocaine or heroin or meth
Right.
where it's you have to do it
Right.
for your body. No, your body fizzles out from too much of it.
Yeah.
You know? And you can't physically do it. And it took a point for me to have a bad experience.
Sure.
And not just, I'm scared, because I would be scared and I didn't want to be scared, so I tried to
Right.
overcome that. You know,
Right.
it was like a challenge for me. I went and saw the new Halloween in theaters on LSD. You know, like
Whoa.
it was a challenge. You
Okay.
know, it was an ego thing, but at the same time, it can do so much to help you just understand more about yourself. It heightens everything about you. You know, my back often hurts about it. You know, it helps me understand. Like, oh man, maybe I need to be careful and like, you know, lift things correctly when I'm at work and sleep properly, you know, maybe not sleep
Yeah.
in a weird crumped
Yeah.
up position.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
man.
Like,
I mean, I remember somewhere along the way learning or reading that that part of it lives in your spinal cord forever.
yeah, I've
You know,
heard that too.
So there's probably some kind of muscle memory or something that goes pins the two things. Oh, that
I definitely have some moments where, you know, once in a while you get shown the light and the strangest of paces, you look at it right. When I find something strange in a weird place, you know, I kind of get that feeling of being high
Yeah.
on psychedelics. You know, it's like, whoa, this is new to me. You know,
do you know most of the podcasts that I still try to keep up with are like stand-up comic podcasts.
Excellent.
One is The Honeydew with Ryan Sickler.
Okay, not familiar.
He very similar setup. He's mostly just interviewing comics though, and finding out what their story is. He just had Neil Brennan on, who is a comic and was I think one of the key writers for Chappelle's Show.
Excellent.
And the whole episode is about ayahuasca.
Okay.
Or Iowa. I think
Yeah.
the A, it starts with an A. But
Ayahuasca.
yeah, and
I believe.
and DMT.
Yep.
And it's, if I try to speak to any of the, I mean, they talk for like 75 minutes about it. And if I try to speak to any of the details, I'll probably get it wrong. But I mean, huge proponent of ayahuasca.
Yeah.
Huge proponent of MDMT, but he
MEO 5 DMT.
He throws out the, like, I'm like, why do you think people are gonna know it? But
Right.
At one point he got access to just DMT.
Yeah.
And it was smokable. And he took like a tiny hit and like
Yeah.
absolutely I'm pretty sure he's happy he did it.
Yeah.
But horrible experience that lingered for 6 months.
Yeah, definitely.
Meaning,
That's
like,
the thing with DMT.
Sort of like you're moving through your days and weeks and months, but all of a sudden this like thing will happen where you're like consciously, in his experience, feeling like if I don't keep a rein on whatever this thing is, psychosis is around the corner.
Absolutely.
And I mean, fucking terrifying. Like,
That's what I think the problem with how the United States is handling these things, because they can do so much good for so many people, but you give the wrong person DMT and it will send them into psychosis. It could send them into psychosis for the rest of their life. You give them LSD and they don't know, it could make you not make you schizophrenic, but bring out the schizophrenic traits that you already have,
Right.
And it can be very terrifying.
man. So mom's in the country. I mean, I could talk to you for 2 more hours
right,
about drugs, but
so we'll wrap it up with that. Brought me into my real love for music.
Okay.
Because we didn't have a TV growing up.
At all.
So when my parents divorced, my dad always had TV. And that was one thing I remember she would tell us as a kid, There's a lot more growing up, but as a kid, she would tell me, it was like, oh, you just come home and sit and watch TV, not paying any attention to me or you, or, you just sit around and watch TV. And she didn't want that. So we didn't have a TV. And so I'd go out and find other things to do. And I got into drugs because I wasn't sitting around watching TV or playing video games. And
let your kids watch TV, otherwise they'll wind up on drugs.
Just saying. But I would sit around, I'd listen to music, but it would help me really listen to music. I could almost see a visual of the music that was I was listening to.
Well, I mean, it's, MTV at a time played music videos, but now it's like, reels and TikToks and whatever. Like, shit is associated with imagery and video and movement, and you don't if you don't have that imagination,
right?
Which one of the I talked about wanting to talk in person with people being one of the legs of this stool, so to speak. But another one is the album form and the creation of an album and liner notes and album cover art, and so like even if it's just lyrics, reading lyrics while you listen, and just huge. Like opening up a segment
just
of the brain.
Your favorite band live,
right.
So
Mom's into country, Garth Brooks' first official show.
Mom's into everything.
Right.
She grew up on hair metal.
Okay.
When she was my age, she was out to every hair metal band she could see, but she grew up on country and hair metal, and then, and liked the great Fish, or Uncle Jake got her into Fish a little bit, and
nice.
Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
I think she saw that people are bringing their kids to these events.
Right.
This is not an aggressive place.
Right. My kids have like 20 shows. I mean,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's not a place
counting. I always
you're
count.
worried about fights everywhere, and someone
NFL game.
Right.
Wanted to. We've been to one. It was nice,
but it's a lot.
But
it's a lot, and to see 30,000 people all in the same spot loving each other and just there for the same reason. Listen to good music. That's really what got me into music.
Sure.
Was, my mom taking me to see a group that brought, real enjoyment.
Yeah. What's your mom's name?
Hope.
Hope. Shouts out to Hope for
her birthday's in spring. She's the fresh hope of spring.
Okay, nice. So did you at one point, not necessarily intentionally, but did you have a first album that would be a collection starter or a first album that you really dug?
Yeah. I will say it would be my first most memorable album that I still listen to this day would be the Grateful Dead album. It was this, I can't remember what it's called. It's the original Steely, like the
Skull and Roses.
Not the Skull and Roses.
Self-titled.
This picture
it's
right
the Steely
here.
Okay.
It was. I don't have my phone. I
Bert,
was about to show you.
Right.
It was.
Like, is Bertha and shit on it, or no?
It's actually, I'm pretty sure it's a live album.
Okay.
And it's the first time this symbol really showed up.
Okay.
And my brother gave it to me because I just got this record player.
Sure.
So I have the most badass record player.
Not Reckoning.
Nope, not Reckoning. Nope. Damn. Reckoning's the acoustic album. It has the song. I only got it with 1 out of 2 of the vinyl. Ship of Fools is on it. Mississippi Half Step is on it.
Oh.
It's, I want to say 80s, maybe 70s. 70s. I want to say 70s.
Well, yeah.
I don't know. 70s.
Let's
it was
see
70s,
here.
not 80s. Yeah. Couldn't tell you the year, but it's white and it just has the original.
God, man, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Anyway,
Steal Your Face.
Is that what it's
Steal
called?
Your Face. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Oh, yeah, right there.
Yeah, but
76.
He's Gone is on it, but I don't have that one. I have 2 out of 2, not the 1 out of 2.
All right, so 76, Promised Land, Cold Rain and Snow, Around and Around, Stella Blue, Mississippi Half Step, Ship of Fools, Beat It On Down the Line, and then Big River, Blackthorn Wind, U.S. Blues, El Paso, Sugary, Must Have Been the Roses, Casey Jones.
Yep. So I have 1 of 2. Not 2 of 2.
All tracks recorded live at Winterland, San Francisco.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So that was my.
So your brother gave that to you.
He gave it to me. So
okay.
I just got this new record player. Me and my grandma was 13, 14. Went to an estate sale. I'm like, Grandma, I don't want to go to this estate sale. Like, what? Whatever.
Right.
We show up and
water
it's
if you
really
want it.
awesome. Thank you.
You bet.
There's this really cool old vintage house. And there's this company that was selling all of the stuff in the house.
Okay.
I don't really know any backstory about it, but really cool vintage house, and they were selling everything in the house for half off. So I walk by this awesome console record player that's, beautifully designed, and it's like this big console record player. It's playing a record.
Smells like the 70s.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. Cigarette smoking.
Right.
Sawdust and I don't know.
Right.
It was refurbished. Well, no, it's from the 50s, but refurbished in the 70s.
Okay.
But it was beautiful, and Magnavox, it's made by Magnavox.
Heck yeah.
It was playing, and said it was $50, so it was $25. Everything's half off, and so I got this amazing record player for $25. She found a friend that had a truck,
Nice.
Came and picked it up, and at the time I didn't even understand what I was buying. Since then, my mom's boyfriend went to an auction to get a jukebox record player. It spins little
45s, yeah.
Yep. And he got that for like $2,000.
Oh,
and
shit.
It wasn't working.
Oh, no. That was my first
expensive.
question.
It's expensive. And he had one, the different brand, but almost looked identical to mine, that wasn't working, that sold for $1,000.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know, like I just got this
Sure.
beautiful record player for $25, and it's the best sounding stereo system I've ever had. I've had multiple.
You
stereo
still have
systems.
it?
Still have it.
Oh,
too,
wow.
yeah.
Okay.
I have a huge record collection.
Oh wow, you
yeah,
do.
I collect
Nice.
vinyl, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long has that been going?
Since the day I got that record player.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Since I was 13, 14.
So, how many shows have we seen together? You were at Festival 8, right?
Yep. Festival 8.
And
yep,
then
at
we've
Dick's.
definitely, so that's 3. We've definitely done at least one Dick's run together. Maybe.
Wait, Festival 8.
Festival 8 was in California.
I didn't do a California.
Okay,
one
all right.
with y'all.
So
I did Dick's. I
Right.
think it was year 8 for y'all.
Okay.
I think it was year 8 is what.
so
That's what I'm saying.
but Festival 8
I did.
JD
JD
was
must
there
have,
and somebody else.
Oh, my cousin Cameron.
Cameron.
They're a year apart.
Yes.
Yes.
And then
They did a bunch of, like, there was one in New Mexico or something.
Okay,
And one
okay.
in Colorado and California.
all right, so
that they
you only did 1 year at Dick's?
I did 1 year at Dick's.
And was that
and
the
then
year
I've
you
done,
inherited the Brazilian?
Yep, I forgot about that.
You still
Yep,
have it?
Yes, I do.
Nice.
Yes, I do. Yep, that's the year I inherited that.
Okay. So is that it? Are those the only?
I've been to like all the Kansas City ones
Okay.
since 2012.
Okay. All right. So
I remember 2012. I just I was like, started wandering off on my own at about that time. So it was like, I don't necessarily remember you.
no,
necessarily.
right.
What about the Transtonio band? I don't know.
I think the only show besides
think it
Pink
was
Talking
just-
Fish
yeah,
would
just
just be
Dick's,
okay. So the year that I think it was the same year that you inherited the suit, there was a vehicle, like a truck or
That we had or someone else had?
yeah, that you had that maybe was a recent acquirement, like an old school,
Was
like
it a van
maybe
that we rode in to the festival?
perhaps.
It was that van was a white with a wood paneling
That-
on the outside.
yes.
It was the 91 Grand
Okay,
something. Or
it
another,
was
my
91, huh?
Yeah. It was
Is it
old.
still around?
No, that got wrecked.
Okay,
Yeah, that got
okay.
wrecked.
But I mean, it was.
It had it's white with the wood paneling on the outside,
Yep.
wood paneling on the inside, and it was maroon interior.
It was pretty pimp.
It was pimp.
And needed some work when you. So whose was it?
JD's. my
Okay,
brother's.
did he inherit it and then it needed some work
No,
and
he
he?
bought it. This guy, he uses a work van just in town, and so it had like 140,000 miles on it.
Right.
And one day he didn't know anything about cars, and one day he said everything on the dash just started going crazy, and all of his lights and things started going crazy, and it stopped working.
Oh.
And he said it's not gonna work, so he sold it for $200 to my brother.
Okay.
And my brother said, "This sounds like," in his head is like, "That sounds like the serpentine belt." Hauled it off, bought a new serpentine belt, put it on there for like $15, put it on there, and he had a new van that we drove to Colorado.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was a head turner. I mean,
Yeah.
you see that. You don't
Yeah.
see those. Anyway, it stands out because the vehicle and the tracksuit combined was like, yo.
Yeah. That
This-
was a good time
that-
that weekend.
yeah, it
That
was.
like one of my favorite festivals I've ever been to.
Banger name, banger first album.
Yeah.
And then, what did you say your first? Not Garth Brooks. What did you say your first show?
Concert, Ozzy Osbourne.
Ozzy. Okay. All that lines up to a banger list of records. And it's not the first time that somebody has sent me a 5 spot where I look at it and for a half a second, I'm like, is this English? Because the saving grace in yours was one of your artists that I had heard of, which
Yeah.
we'll get to.
I was trying to.
But nevertheless, it's always like it's a roll of the dice, because not everything's for everybody,
Right, right.
So it's always like
Right.
see how this goes.
Right.
So
The stuff I bring, it's for musicians, for people who are musically inclined. They listen to things.
right.
You
So
know,
normally I want to take the list that I get, and if it's not already in chronological order of release, I want to rearrange it, unless I have a funny feeling.
No, yeah.
And with yours, I had a funny feeling,
Okay.
so I got to leave it the way it is.
Okay,
So we're
yeah.
jumping, but it starts off with Blacknuss, Blacknuss by
Probably the best place to start.
Rahsaan, Roland, Kyle,
Kirk.
Rahsaan,
Roland, Kirk.
Can't even read my own handwriting. 1971, out of Columbus. Let's see here. I ran out of time. Otherwise, I would have put the track listing on there for you.
I have that vinyl.
Nice.
Yep.
Columbus, Ohio. Blind by age 2. Tenor sax, flute, etc.
etc.
Right. Fascinating cat to say the least. Underground jazz scene activist vibe about him, which I've have kind of always associated with you.
Yeah.
I feel like we must have crossed paths at one other show,
Right.
besides Pink Talking Fish, and just kind of like a, hey man, good to see you. Anyway, how did you get turned on to this guy?
COVID.
Okay.
I found on Prime a documentary about him called Case of the Three-Sided Dream.
Ooh.
So I watched this, and I'm a saxophone player, and I thought, why have I never heard of this person? He's the most influential jazz musician you've never heard of.
Right.
He would consistently play 3 horns at the same time. He had
wearing
3 saxophones at the same time, and he would do that. A lot of people would say it's a gimmick. So people look at him. He heard that in a dream. So he's blind. He got blind. He had this eye problem when he was 2 years old, and they gave him silver nitrate in his eyes, and it was too much, and it made him blind. And they said, sorry, kid, back in 40s or whenever.
Good luck out there.
Yep.
Fuck.
And he had a friend that played saxophone. He got him into saxophone, and, he had this dream that he was playing these 2 melodies right on top of each other at the same time, and this is... when jazz was the most prominent, new form of music.
Right.
And, he heard this thing in his head, and it was a different saxophone. So it wasn't a normal saxophone, and I forget the name of what they actually call it, but he went out and sought out these instruments that he heard in his dream. And so he put together a tenor saxophone, what is equivalent to a tenor saxophone, but it's straight. It's kind of curved right here and then straight down, and the bell just comes straight. And then another saxophone.
What's a flugelhorn?
A flugelhorn is a trumpet, but it's like a little bigger, a little bit darker of a tone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He would play brass instruments as well. He'd play the nose flute while he was playing. So
Did you say the nose flute?
The nose flute.
No way.
While he's playing the flute at the same time.
It's in your nose?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. He'd have it all hanging from his neck. And he'd play the nose flute while playing the flute at the same time. He was a better flutist than most flutists.
Right.
Like, I swear. Seriously. And so he just had this way of looking at music so completely differently.
Yeah.
He instantly became my favorite saxophone player, not because he could play multiple horns at the same time, but because of his circular breathing.
Yeah.
He viewed breathing completely differently than most humans.
Well,
it was circular breathing is a technique where you breathe in through your nose and or you breathe out, normally, and you store this breath in your cheeks. So your cheeks puff out a little bit, and then you expel the air from your cheeks through your instrument, or you can do it while singing too.
Right.
But you're breathing in through your nose while creating a steady stream of sound. So you would hear, he has songs that are 10 minutes long, recorded too, that you hear, and you don't hear him stop playing the saxophone. You might hear him take a little second break, but that was on purpose.
Right.
He wanted that silence there.
Well, so I saw, I'm sort of scanning and I see something that, wait, what? And it's this idea of having a melody coming from one instrument and then another one coming from another, and it's him, and it's simultaneous. And
he would
I'm
play
like,
2 melodies on top of each other at the
and so
same time.
I'm like, The first thing I think of is Trey is he loves his loops.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
he can do the first one that comes to mind, and that doesn't make it the best, but is sort of this whale call, you know. And so you can play that, and then he whatever with his foot thing, and he get and so now that's going, and then he can sort of noodle on top of that. And I'm like, so he's like using his feet to record something that he's then going to play over with his but this guy's doing it all with his air pipes,
with 2 different horns.
And I was like, how the fuck do you not pass out?
Keeping a third tone consistent.
That's crazy.
And how do you not pass out? That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's part of the circular breathing.
Right.
He's so in tune with his breathing, he doesn't have to breathe just in and out.
Right.
He can breathe in and out and around.
That is fucking
circular breathing.
Mind blown emoji.
In that documentary, there's a scene where his trombone player, he's talking about how one song he was trying to hold a note, you know, and he can circular breathe, but it takes a lot out of you. You have to take a breath at some time, some point.
Right.
But Rahsaan, Roland, Kirk didn't have to take a breath at some point. He was breathing. So he ended up, you know, last note, bah, and he dropped down and he tried to go back in and get back into it. And Rahsaan put out his hand and put him down. Later, after the show, he comes to me and says, hey, man, once you're out, you're out. And he said, okay, once I'm out, I'm out. The next show, the next night, he said he's playing. And he really just, like, focused. And he brought in tune his breathing with Rahsaan's breathing. And he would, you know, circular breathe the way he would do it. And he said he almost felt this aura of energy come up over him.
Whoa.
From Rahsaan up and around him. And he said he could breathe like that, no problem.
Once you're out, you're out, meaning like pass out?
When you're holding the last note, you know? Bah, when you're a horn instrument, you can only play that note as much air as you have.
I see.
But you can't come back into it and hit it again.
Try to pick it up where you... I see. Okay. Yep. Wow.
Yeah.
That's trippy.
Unless it's written that way.
Right.
Because he would do this thing where at the end of his song, you know, big final thing, you know, Jimi Hendrix lit his guitar on fire or whatever. He would break a chair.
Okay.
So he'd take a chair and destroy it. And he's blind, so he's just hitting it. He's just hitting it, man.
Whoa.
And that was part of the cymbals are crashing. He's breaking a chair.
Sure.
The trombone's going. Yeah.
So, I mean, he worked with Mingus, Roy Haynes, Quincy Jones.
Yeah. He was huge activist with all of those guys.
When I first, you know, like I kind of grew up listening to oldies, and then I lived in the classic rock bubble for many years, and wanted to, like, the way that I began and grew my collection was like I wanted to hear non-radio hits by the artists, and so for a short bit, I was into Jethro Tull. You know, I had an older next door neighbor that used to gig in a band for like 10 years, and I think he told me to check out This Was, which is their first record, and Serenade to a Cuckoo. I've always associated like that as it's a cover of his.
Yeah,
I mean Jethro Tull's I was like, what?
Yep.
Holy. Anyway, gigged with Zappa at least once in '69.
Actually, Zappa on his first album, Hot Rats, he has that list of names. Or maybe not Hot
Freak
Rats.
Out.
Freak Out.
Mothers of Invention.
You're right. With the Mothers of Invention, he has on the inside cover a list of artists that inspired him.
Right.
You know?
He's listed. 28 studio records. This is number 20. Do you know a lot of his stuff?
I do quite a bit of his stuff.
And is it all as good as this is?
It just gets better and better. It's
this one, I mean, 11 tracks, just under 45 minutes, opens with Ain't No Sunshine, which is, we all know is a Bill Withers tune, but both of them came out in 71.
He plays on the flute, and he almost speaks the words, sings the words while he's playing the flute.
Yeah.
But it's perfect. The flute's coming out.
But so weird that they both came out in 71. I'm like, did Bill Withers write it?
And see, that's the thing. It's like almost, he had the sense of almost like what a DJ does today. You're trying to play the hot new stuff that people or producers are coming out with for the club. You know what I mean? He's doing that with the jazz club.
And
yes, Bill Withers did write that.
I know, but I mean,
it makes you think.
There's the scene in Ray. Did you ever see the Ray Charles movie?
Yeah.
Where he's going to get paid after a gig, and the dude tries to take advantage of the fact that he's blind.
Yeah.
Anyway, from there it goes into a hybrid of two Marvin Gaye cuts. What's going on in Mercy, Mercy Me?
Yeah.
Whoa,
dude. And it's my favorite. It's the most insane version I've ever heard. He's playing 3 instruments up here and there, and
it's crazy.
And yeah, and Rahsaan, he would walk around by himself too. He didn't have a cane.
Okay,
he would walk around playing the saxophone.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a cover of My Girl, and really the treats just keep coming. Old Rugged Cross has like this jam in it.
Oh yeah,
that is to die for.
It's the best example of tension and release.
I can give you. Okay.
That tension of one note that's not quite the perfect note, and he just holds it.
But I mean, this is 1971.
Yeah.
But I mean, people weren't doing that yet. I mean, you have Zeppelin and Floyd and the Dead and so forth, and folks that are flushing out. But there's a good portion of the middle of that tune. He's just going nuts, and the rhythm behind him is just killing it. I mean, really impressive.
Honestly, that's one song I put on. I'm not a super religious person, I believe in some spiritual sense, but that's a song I put on in hard times.
Okay.
And that version, as a saxophone player,
sure.
For me, that right there. I put it on, and I can almost feel myself in his shoes.
Right.
When I'm playing saxophone myself, there's times where I feel a very spiritual sense about it, and I feel how long, someone else playing through
you. Yeah. How long have you been playing?
For 10 years now.
Okay. First instrument?
My first instrument was the drums.
Okay.
I wanted to play the drums, and my grandma got me drum lessons in 6th grade.
Okay.
And then in middle school, when we started band, I was like, "Oh, I have drum lessons. I'm going to be a drummer." And they didn't take me out of 9 people. I made a really good sound out of the saxophone. So I did saxophone.
What, you tried out for band?
Yeah.
And didn't they?
Well, everybody could join band,
oh.
but only certain people could do certain positions.
Right,
so there's the top,
okay.
There's the positions everybody wants to do, and the whole band can't do percussion.
Right.
You
okay.
need the whole orchestra, band.
Wow.
Band,
and so that was your pivot?
That was my pivot. My cousin played drums. I always thought he was cool. He is cool, actually.
Right.
But he picked up the saxophone a little bit,
Okay.
And I was just like, well, try that. And I sounded better than most kids at the time, And for years I was first chair, I was really good.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did all kind of extracurriculars too. I played with this band outside of high school called 5 Star Jazz Band.
Nice.
That was a collective of kids in high school that want to do more jazz music, and they brought in a retired band teacher,
okay,
Robert Drummond, and they would play classic big band jazz stuff.
Nice.
And we would play around town for money, and we'd take all the money and put it back into the band so we could travel, we could do competitions, we could buy better instruments, I ended up being a part of that for 3.5 years.
Wow.
I recorded a CD with them
in
high school. Helped set that up and organize all of it.
Dang.
It's huge.
One of I've got a couple Fish biographies. One of them talks about, and I had heard this before, but it's always nice to read it in the official. But as soon as they started gigging, they had an unofficial or official, I don't know, agreement that any revenue brought in from gigging would just go back into gear.
Yeah.
To
better their
and that's, they just kept with it. And then fast forward to
that's cool.
Their road manager now.
Yeah.
He was like, I remember back in the days when, they just had a van and would drive, and then they brought me on board, and I, sort of laid the groundstones for the gear and how it gets taken care of and moved from.
Right.
And he goes,
Right.
I remember having this thought one day where I thought, oh man, how cool would it be to like see the upcoming tour, the list of cities, and go, I know those venues, we're going to need trailers 11 and 17.
Right.
And he's like, and that's where we are now.
Right.
And I was like, oh my, because they just did that, just kept putting it back into more gear, better gear, bigger, you know.
Yep. And that's what we're doing right now. I feel like.
Yeah. So you've been playing for 10 years and you gig locally.
Yeah, I gig.
And tell me your handle again.
The Cheeto Flow.
The Cheeto Flow with no W. Or does it have a W?
No, it has a W.
Okay,
Yep,
okay.
Yep, the Cheeto Flow.
So is that like also a handle for your socials, or
Yep.
and
That's also a handle for my socials.
all one word?
Yep,
The Cheeto
all
Flow.
All one word, straight through.
So you gig solo and with people, or
Usually with a DJ. My main thing that I do right now is with DJ Alpha Cat.
I know that name.
Who is also Styles.
Oh yeah, okay,
Yep.
right.
And he.
How often are you guys gigging?
Well, we play once a month at the Phoenix.
Okay,
every first
so you still
Thursday.
have ties to that spot. Okay,
Yep, definitely.
nice.
And then we also play. We play at the Nighthawk. We've played there a couple times now. We're about to play there on April 12th. We play Record Bar. We're playing there next month in March. We played there last month.
I have this somewhat consistent occurrence where I have an experience and I'm like, that's gonna be my thing now.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's organic and it surprises me,
Right.
and then sometimes I like some other thought happen. I decide on a thing. Like a couple of times I've been like, you know what, I'm gonna like try to make myself a Bruce Springsteen fan.
Right.
And I'll like start and then I'm like, no, that's just not. Anyway, a lot of things like that where I have that thought. And I remember going to a show at the Phoenix a handful of years ago now. And like, I went because this kid that was cooking for me worked nights there also.
What was his name?
Bobby.
Nope, I never worked with the Bobby.
Yeah.
Worked with quite a few people there.
And God, I don't know if he had ties with this. He definitely had ties with this cat TJ, who does gigs for the Royals now, like chef wise.
Cool.
And he's been at a number. Anyway, hearing about it, like kind of being like, I mostly believe that this is a real thing, that he has this job that he goes to at nights,
Right.
but I've never heard of this place.
Right.
And then I went and I was like, oh my God, like this is, how did I not know?
Little
And it's
KC gym.
and it's got like I don't know what size, but it's got a scene attached to it.
Yeah.
Like there are folks that go there,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
some more often than others, but
We have
and it's
a regular. It's like it's a Billy Joel Piano Man type of bar, but you never know where you're going to hear in there.
right. And I remember being like, I'm going to become a regular here. And I've never been back, just because that's how I'm like, huh? And then it's like, what was I talking about?
Right.
Just,
Yep.
but I definitely enjoyed my experience there. And I
You
think
can always have a good conversation there. They have live music.
Sure.
And it's.
I also remember feeling like this, and at that time, again, a handful of years ago, not knowing how long it had been around, I remember having the feeling of like, this is cool enough that I need to be responsible for gathering people
Right.
and turning, because it feels like it's just barely hanging on and could just fall.
It could use some help.
Well, this is again, like, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, maybe
Okay.
10 years ago.
Fair enough. It's
So
changed.
has it?
It's changed a little bit. They do some more soul music now. We have obviously stepped in with a DJ and a saxophone
Right.
player.
Okay.
With what we do anywhere from house music to hip hop music to jazz and funk, and we'll throw a little bit of everything in there.
This is you guys are gigging together and residing together.
Yes.
And it's chilling. It's
honestly, yes. I was not sure how it was gonna work at first. We were both kind of like, like he needed a place to stay, and originally it was just gonna be like, yeah, you know what, you're moving, and you just need a place to stay for like 2 months, no big deal. And then it just kind of like it's been super chill. It's been so chill. Like we both like.
Well, because where I go is, you can always make adjustments to your living situation, or most times you have options.
Yeah.
I would hope, but like that sort of the stage and performance relationship sort of has to live under some kind of precious cover, because you don't want to mess this. We have a thing. You don't want to mess that up, and so those worlds collide. I mean, you have to be you got to be adults, both of you.
It's collided before with women, with our direction in music, with how much we're each other are making. You know what I mean? And we try to share those things with each other. I mean, not just like women, but like I mean, sometimes sometimes
whatever works, man.
There's been some times where he's picked up a chick where I was like slept with someone that I brought home, and I was like, what the fuck? But then I slept with someone that he brought home. I was like, okay, I see how it goes. It's like you have to be adults about it. You can't just throw a fit.
Yeah,
I had to learn that. He's been very cool, but that was like our one little hiccup. But
goddamn women.
Right. We could share the women, we could share the wine.
Right.
And like fuck. But it's been cool too, because it's like, as an artist, you want to go on tour at least once, just to experience it. And I love traveling. I love getting paid to travel. I've done seasonal jobs, and I think people really enjoy what we do.
Yeah.
So it works really well living together, and tours a little more compact.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a good practice for that. And I think what will happen is we'll go on tour one day, whatever that means. We'll go on a Midwest tour or whatever. We'll go on a tour one day, and then we'll find our own spots.
I mean,
but it works out really well.
They can't all be Uncle Jake, man. I tell you what. So good luck to you.
And unfortunately, I'm the Uncle Jake. So
okay.
In this situation, I'm the one that's like really chill. He gets stressed out about some things sometimes.
Yeah. That would be that. Yeah. But
I'm more of just like,
so
whatever.
Tell me one more time the handle again.
The Cheeto Flow.
The Cheeto Flow. And then do you have stuff listenable online too?
Currently I do not.
Okay.
We are in the works of writing an album.
Okay.
It's going to be called After the Apple.
Fucking living together, gigging together, and writing a record together.
Yep.
Are you going to release it as a record?
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, it might be an EP.
That's meaning you're not going to drop a track and then a track
nope,
and then a track.
Nope.
Okay.
He's done that. So he's 34.
Okay.
So he's been doing this for a while. He's a hip hop artist originally. He's been he's on a song with Tech Nine.
Right.
It's called Hard. He's with all of the Strange Music crew. Some of the Strange Music crew has been on some of his music. So with us working together, it's a branch out of both of our elements.
Right.
I come from jazz. He comes from hip hop.
That's cool.
Mixing them together to really bring a vibration to any room.
You know Kadesh Flow?
Yes. He opened up for a last show at Record Room.
Okay. Yeah. He did an episode.
Really?
Yeah. Let's see.
Really? Awesome.
Episode 42.
What?
Yeah.
Yep, right there.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? I've looked up to him for a while now. He's doing some really cool things. I heard him on 90.1.
Nice.
And he's doing the jazz hip hop thing.
Yeah.
We haven't really fused the jazz hip hop with his music yet.
Sure.
That's what this next album's going to be.
Cool.
We're going to be fusing all of these elements with us.
Nice.
And then, he has music out. I do not. I've been saxophone for hire.
You're also 20-something. He's closer to my age.
You're right.
So it'll just take it easy.
Oh, yeah.
So, going back to that feeling of the initial glance at your list and is this English? And then and then of course, and then well, some of these I'm not entirely sure which is the album title and which is the artist name, right? Until I sit down and put it all together.
Right.
So going into a lot of unknown, I was like, that might have been the hero or the hit, record of the 5.
Right.
And so kind of a high bar to set.
Huge bar to set.
Dirty Horse by Morbin from 2022.
Oh, man.
I have not been able to stop thinking about it.
Isn't it incredible?
It
just blows you away. It leaves you breathless.
And speechless.
Speechless. Breathless. Yeah.
Okay, so Danny Dabin on guitar, Danny Markovich on sax, Joe Nadell bass, Everett Barton Jr. on drums. Out of Chicago, this is their newest. They go back to 2007, and some of them, a couple are originally from Israel.
Yeah, the guitar and saxophone player, they're brothers. They're from Israel.
Okay.
I had,
10 tracks, 64 minutes. Opens with the Freeman Massacre, which just freaking slays. I was like, what?
It takes shredding to the next level.
I was like, what the fuck is that? The rest of this album guaranteed to be garbage.
Right.
Because there's no way you could record.
Yeah. This is like, okay, yeah, you want your first song just to be the best, and then whatever.
Okay, so here's where I lost my mind. Because tracks 2 through 7 are 3 sets of 2-parters.
Yeah.
And Dirty Horse Part 1, which is sort of a marriage of belly dancer and jazz metal with like a little circusy backdrop to it. I was like,
right.
I feel like I'm being put on.
Right.
I don't. This is a joke.
Right. There's no way they could be like.
And then when you gave me your list, you said I don't know that I have a favorite or a top 5, but this is part of your current great inspiration.
Yes.
This record's a year old. How the fuck did you?
So I've been listening to them since like 2016.
Okay, so you knew it was coming.
Yeah. This was so actually last time they came to town, they played at Mini Bar, which
Mini
I've
Bar.
played at. It's a record bar owns Mini Bar, and it's right over there off 38th and Broadway, right by that gas station, the Shell.
Oh yeah,
like across the street. Yeah.
Okay.
And I've played shows there for a while now. It's a cool little spot, it's small. It's smaller than the record bar, so like if you couldn't fill the record bar, they'd put you at Mini Bar.
I see.
Which is really cool, It's like, oh, we can't take you, but this spot can, But they came to town, they played there, and I was just like, what? I have to show up. Well, I had to work that night. And I was like, gotta get off as fast as I can, clean this grill, get out of here, And I got there as fast as I could, and when you come in, there's a bar down here, and then you go upstairs, and at the top of the stairs, you pay for the show, and then the show's upstairs. And I ran up there, and like, they're all off the stage, and the lights are up, and, saxophone's been put in. Yeah, saxophone's been put into the, on the stand, and I'm like, man, I missed it. But their merch was still out, and they had vinyl. And I was like, oh, give me 2 of your vinyl. Give me 2 of these. And bought 2 of them. And then the one guy, Danny, the guitar player, he comes over. He was, they didn't have a merch guy. One of their friends was just like, hey, yeah, Danny, come here. And, they're driving themselves across country, and...
What?
Yeah, no, these guys, they'll drive around. They'll be... they'll have a show in a week apart from each other. So they'll post on Facebook, hey, does anyone want to book us for this between these dates, between these places? We can go within 200 miles,
And that's worked?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. They are like...
That's bananas.
It's a punk mindset of just surviving out here as a traveling musician. But they just shred and take music to the next level. They take fusion music to the next level. And, so anyways, I bought 2 of their records, and I said, hey, man, you smoke some weed? And he was just like, he looked over at his drummer and he says, hey, do we want to smoke some weed? And then laughed. And then we came downstairs, smoked some weed with me, and I had like I don't know, a quarter of weed left, so probably some more at home. And they asked me, they were like, hey, like we're traveling out here, like we're not gonna make it to Colorado for a few more days. Can we get some weed off of you?
Right.
I was like, dude, I'll just give this to you. And I gave it to them, and they ended up hooking me up with 3 of their CDs and a shirt.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you bought vinyl?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
and they're really wholesome guys. They all have families.
I'm sure.
They're really great people, but
so, going back to the Kirk, thinking the Kirk record it was so good, it must be the best. And then immediately blown away and then the part 1 and then part 2 of Dirty Horse, some conga line symphony harmonizing element to it that is just fucking fantastic and not the same as
not
part
at all.
1.
Yeah.
And I was
movements.
like, okay,
like orchestral movements brought into a
yes.
fusion.
Now we'll see the drop off.
Right.
And Sid Yiddish parts 1 and 2
it down a little bit, and you think it might be dropping off, but no.
Solemn, rich, complex, Zappa-y.
Exactly.
First part and a thrashy, Bela Flecky kind of second part.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, without question, now we'll have the drop off. And World of Computers, I teared up.
Yeah, dude. Seriously.
I wrote. Seriously. I'm out of words.
Yeah.
This is mind-bending, globally gorgeous. It's like the American South and Greek nighttime bazaar kind of. And that's part 1. I mean, part 2 is where I teared up, and I felt like, talk about psychedelics. Yeah. I felt like I was listening to the soundtrack of a time-lapse video of my life.
Right.
And like some of the sounds that I'm hearing are associated with parts of the world I've never been to.
Right.
But still, I was like, holy shit, dude.
It's moving.
I don't know that I've ever had as profound a first listen to anything. I mean, I could come up with a couple.
Right.
But whoa.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
I mean,
welcome.
dude,
You're welcome.
Seriously. So, by the time we get to Headless Chicken, I'm spent.
You're right.
And that's not for me anyway.
Right.
It's
just that's the point. It's a headless
chicken.
Yeah,
exactly. Exactly. Midnight.
If that's what you care about, here you go.
Yeah. Midnight Squirrel and Radio School to close the thing out. No slouches.
Right.
But that opener and those 3 two-parters really fucking blew my doors off. And there's a varying level of obligation for me to say the records you gave me are awesome.
Right. I get that. I get that.
But I'm not blowing smoke here. Music, if you allow it, over time can change you.
Yeah. No, it does.
Who knows how many times? Maybe it's just once. You were this guy, and music changed you. Now you're this guy. But it can,
right. Well, it's a language, and when you speak more and more of it, whether you speak or listen, it can influence the way you feel, and the way you perceive things. Really.
Yeah. So we have 3 more to go.
Yeah.
I know I don't want to keep you here all night, but I need to make sure he's good and get him in, and then we'll dive back into the.
Cool.
All right. So, from there we go to 2017 Harmony of Difference, Kamasi, Washington.
Washington.
6 songs, 32 minutes, 20 seconds into track 1, I'm sold. I mean, LA-based saxophonist who's played on a Kendrick Lamar record, played with Herbie Hancock, Lauryn Hill, Nas, Snoop Dogg, George Duke, Run the Jewels, many more. 6 records, 4 EPs, a few side projects. How'd you discover this dude?
I'd like to note he's the one who brought Thundercat to the light.
For real?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Thundercat's his bass player.
Okay.
His original debut album, The Epic, which him and a group of however many musicians, including Thundercat, wrote or rented 30 days worth of professional studio recording time and wrote.
That's not cheap.
And wrote a lot of music. It was either 80 or 180 songs they wrote. in 30 days of all of theirs. This is the epic that they wrote. The Harmony of Difference is my favorite because, which I have on vinyl.
Nice.
This is the only one I don't have on vinyl.
Okay.
And Prodigy Productions, but that's because that's not on vinyl.
Right.
But this is it's just, starting with the name, harmony.
Yeah.
Difference. It brings harmony and difference, and
Well,
it's hard to describe without listening.
Yeah. Concept album.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Truth and
desire, humility, knowledge, perspective, integrity, and truth.
Yeah.
And I didn't get. I mean, I checked it all out. It's all fantastic, but I didn't get deep enough to appreciate the supposedly truth is like an incorporation of the first five or something to that. There's some kind of tie, which would take more than one.
On the vinyl, it's all of the first five are on the on one, and on the other side,
Nice.
Truth.
Wow.
Which sums it all up.
Right. Just a fantastic record. When I was mentioning reaction videos, there's a couple of dudes called Lost in Vegas. And they would say, if something like really blew their mind, they would say, not just playlist, stay list.
Right.
And this is in that category for me. Just a fantastic little jewel.
Yeah, he actually wrote the soundtrack to Michelle Obama's documentary.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, coming on I believe Hulu, maybe something.
Wow.
Or something.
Well, from writing the soundtrack to Michelle Obama's documentary to being invited to perform for the Obamas, Rodrigo y Gabriela, Area 52.
Man.
Was the only that was the artist that I knew.
Yeah.
Everything else was fresh exposure. And this one features C.U.B.A as an acronym. I saw 12, one place I saw 13 member Cuban orchestra that gigs with him on this. What were you about to say?
That's what C.U.B.A is the orchestra that performs with them in that traditional Cuban sense,
Right. So we started in Ohio, went to Chicago by way of Israel, to L.A. For Kamasi, Washington, to Mexico.
Really origins in a lot of African music.
Right, but now to Mexico City. So 5 studio albums for them. This is number 3, 3 live albums and an EP. Soundtracks for President Obama, won a Grammy. I mean, this is, like I said, the one of your 5 that I knew. How did they wind up in your lap?
So I did a seasonal job out in California.
Cool.
Worked at this camp, blah, blah, blah. Sprained my ankle severely where my whole leg was swollen up and I couldn't even put my shoe on.
You couldn't start in the Super Bowl in 2 weeks?
No, goodness gracious. I mean, maybe if it was the Super Bowl.
Shouts out to the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, by the way.
Super Bowl champions. Woof.
So you sprained your ankle pretty bad?
Pretty bad. I'm not that athletic, not as athletic as those guys. But came back and I didn't have anything going on because sprained ankle. And my brother said, "What are you doing tonight?" "Nothing. You're going to Rodrigo and Gabriela." Put on
Starlight?
At Uptown.
Okay.
And I had no idea who they were.
Sure. What year is this?
He said they play guitar. There's 2 people that play guitar.
Yeah.
And I was like...
What year is this?
2018.
Okay.
And it's like, I don't know who these people are. I was like, I better eat some LSD.
Shit.
I don't. The 2 people play guitar. What's gonna happen? Whatever. And I show up and I'm like sitting down. So I find some seats in the back because I have
not with your brother.
I am with my brother.
Okay.
I am with my brother. We show up and I'm sitting down and turns out it's packed house, sold out show. And I'm like, what? How did these people sell out a house without me at least knowing about them? And
Kirk Vile came to Liberty Hall in Lawrence in October, and somebody hit me up. I'm like, "You want to go?" I was fucking insulted that I didn't know, and I was like, Yes, please.
Right,
I-
right, please.
I want to go. You're like, how do these people fucking sell this?
Right, like, and yeah, I was just like, what the fuck? And they came out, and Gabriela just went with her hand, and I was just like, what?
I'm sorry, what? Yeah.
and, and then he kicked in, and they just went crazy. They had the entire building of anywhere from people wearing tie-dye t-shirts to old dudes that are wearing cowboy hats, like that seem very, I don't know, I'm trying not to judge people,
Sure.
but, seem very conservative.
More conservative than the tie-dye shirt.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
The whole crowd just up, standing out of their seats and moving, with two guitars. And, I mean, it was just, I have never seen anyone play guitar like that in my entire life up until that point, and it blew me away. And then later I found, probably 2 or 3 years ago, I found this album here with all the horns, and I'm a horn player. And
Yeah, man.
The way they orchestrate it all together is just flawless. I
mean, 9 songs,
I'm gonna
34.
butcher the word, but Itapa?
Yeah, IX. Yeah, yes.
Itapa. It's they have one of the Shankars come in on sitar, and so they're mixing the sitar in there, and just that solo and that just gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, man.
Dude.
So it's a short one, 9 songs, 34 minutes, but it's full of surprises, feel good vibes across the board. No duds or skips. So no disrespect to anything, but 11.
Yeah,
in the 4-hole is something really, really special.
It is really, really special.
And then Diablo Rojo cooks with that Rodrigo y Gabriela energy that you just know.
Right.
You said I could see it and hear it when you said she came out and. And then he comes in like it's
a little flick of all 4 or all 5 fingers and the wrist all at the same time. They're all hitting different strings at different times, up or down. Like,
no way.
She's not just up here doing all this. She's down here doing all this too.
That's nuts.
Crazy. And doing percussion. They're doing percussion too.
Yeah. They're phenomenal. Surprised that their discography is as small as it is, but they've got to be. I bet they're all bangers. I mean,
oh man,
I doubt they've put out an album that's kind of
I've yet to hear it.
Just right. Well, you mentioned Prodigy by Prodigy Productions 2021, and you said it's not on vinyl. It's not like it doesn't appear in his discography. As a record, it's just kind of like a one-off, kind of something unique about it. I'm not exactly sure.
Really, what it is it's I was there for a part of all of that being written. That's
seriously
the producer that I work with, Prodigy Productions.
Wait, did I understand correctly that this dude was one half of Mobb Deep, or am I wrong?
Mobb Deep?
Yeah.
I'm not sure
about that. Oh, so this person, this person?
I know this person's a good friend of mine.
And they're still around?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I don't think they're part of Mobb Deep.
So, is it this?
Yes, this is it.
Okay. I mean,
Prodigy Productions.
I got some bad info, but I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Anyway, 9 songs, 25 minutes, also short.
Very short.
But cool. He's almost rocking the Brazil suit in that.
Right. That's exactly right. Right.
I got nothing good then. So you got to tell me all the things.
He's my most positive influence that I know for creating music. He does all of these instruments that are in his picture. The guitar right here is kind of one of his signatures. The trombone, the DJ he produces. He's a drummer. He's in the drum line.
Wow.
He's a dancer.
Okay.
Like a professional hip hop dancer.
Nice.
He's really good at it.
And this person how?
Through the Phoenix.
Okay. So are they local?
With him. Yes.
Okay.
He's originally from Arizona.
Okay.
He currently lives in Arizona.
I see.
Has a baby on the way, but he lived here for years and years and years and years and years, and created this out of his apartment, and then he moved into a house. And he was the first person that made me realize my dream of being a musician for a living is possible.
Amen.
He's the person who showed me that I can make songs. I don't have to be in LA to know a record producer or a
Right.
talent scout to create music that expresses myself. I watched him create half of those songs, like while I'm sitting there. Like he was just like, we're sitting there, and I would be like, "Oh no, that sounds good."
Dude, this
Like,
shit is dope.
Right? It's very cool. He has such a unique way of going about it. He's actually his real name is Richard Johnny.
Okay.
Third.
Oh, wow.
His grandfather was a jazz musician.
Okay.
His father is also a producer and taught him how to DJ and produce.
Okay.
And so that's why he is Prodigy.
Now, right. When you say DJ, are we talking about moving vinyl on and off of turntables, or are we talking electronic?
He can do that.
Okay.
He can do that.
Okay.
That's usually when you see him live, you're not going to see him DJ. He's probably going to be using a MIDI controller of some sort, to create different beats and different flows.
So,
with his music and others.
This has nothing to do with him, but more to do with my question there.
Yeah.
So, in case you are unaware, TikTok exists and can be a major time suck.
Yeah.
I think it's somewhat understood to have one of the better algorithms that we've ever seen. And
Yes,
so
absolutely.
like
Yeah.
I like stuff or watch stuff, and it gives me more of that.
Yeah.
And I tend to wind up liking a lot of that too.
Yep.
So I'm down a couple
That's what he's doing. I get you.
hip hop lanes and a couple DJ lanes, a Chiefs lane, a bunch of different lanes. And so I wind up seeing a fair amount of clips of DJ stuff in studio or in production, and some stuff that's live. And I understand that it's not, two turntables and a mixer and a coffin, and that's it, like it once was. I understand that electronics and technology have taken us all these different routes, and I think there's a lot of positives to that. But a lot of times, I seeing guys pushing button and they have so much time on their hands that they gotta be a perpetual hype man for themselves.
Yes.
And I'm like, with all that time, you could be like changing records. You could be scratching. You could be
playing an instrument.
Something. I also, believe me when I say try not to judge. I like that they're doing it. I like that I'm getting to see it and listen to it. But it's
the same thing on my iPhone, in my pocket. I could put together.
I feel uncomfortable watching it.
Right.
Just
right.
how much of this?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not even paying attention to your mix, it seems like. I've seen a lot of that, and that's part of what we're trying to mix, instruments with all of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he plays all of these instruments. He does all that. He's engaged. Yeah, he's hitting buttons, but he made the sound that button produces.
Right.
Like, literally made the sound for it. That's what part of being a producer is.
A knob turn.
He's not a DJ. He's Prodigy Productions.
Right.
So that's what that is.
Sure.
And he turns a lot of knobs, presses a lot of buttons. But if you watch him play, his instrument, it's not spinning anything. He's working with a MIDI controller, and he'll play it. He'll turn it around towards you, so you can watch him, and he's playing all like an instrument.
Right. Again, no disrespect to what he does.
No. Now we'll go. DJ Alpha Cat, he uses a turntable, and he doesn't spin vinyl yet. We're getting there. We don't have the equipment. That shit's expensive. But I
have a pair of Technics in a coffin.
Tight.
That I would part with if it fit and worked.
Yeah.
I bought them like right when I got engaged. I was like, I'm gonna be a DJ. It's the same. I'm gonna be a DJ, and then it's just like I did not have $200 to spend on that, but I own them now.
Right.
Anyway,
I mean, we talk about that.
Right. Yeah.
But my mom said she was like, when she saw us play last time at the Phoenix, she said, "Don't get me wrong, like I love what Styles does, but I feel like you're working a lot harder than he is."
Oh, yeah. See?
And, I'm blowing in the saxophone and going crazy. I'm playing, I'm blowing and moving my fingers and timing, and I'm playing on every song, And it looks like, from a distance, he's back here just kind of But between us, because we're a duo,
Right.
he's more of a conductor.
Okay.
So the conductor stands up there and, but
Absolutely.
he's such an important job. He cues me on things. He's like, hey, bro, right now, that big moment we talked about, you know what I mean? He's like, he gives me that look. Or he'll be like, back it off,
Right.
back off, back off.
Hey, man.
Or
Yeah.
he'll tell me, say, hey, walk around. Because I like to, with my saxophone, I have the wireless, so I'll walk up and I'll walk right up to someone's table and sit right down with them and start playing the saxophone to them,
Nice.
People love that. But that's one thing that has always turned me off of DJs. I don't go to Dance Festopia.
Right.
Because they're all up there as a hype man. They made a mix way earlier, and don't get me wrong, you put a lot of work in that mix.
Hell
but
yeah.
I'm here to see live music.
Yeah.
If I can hear the same thing on SoundCloud, then I don't want to...
Yeah.
Why would I pay for
Yeah.
it to however much money for
Right.
it? I want to see your live performance. I want to see you working your instrument. That's why I like Tipper as a DJ.
Okay.
He's up there. You don't see him. He's behind his whole thing, and it's all visuals in front of him.
Okay.
So but he's just like watching the crowd and like
Interesting.
moving them the way they want, the way, if they see something that's not working,
Yeah.
he changes it up.
So
That's how we kind of try to base our DJ duo off of. We do something different for every venue because it's a different crowd at every venue.
yeah. So you were present for a number of these tracks being written or
Yes.
recorded or
Yes.
whatever. Okay. Wow, that's awesome. So what other are you? I mean, I know you kind of perpetually see shows. Have you seen anything amazing recently, or are looking forward to something coming up?
The most recent I saw was at the Folk Alliance.
The Folk
The
Alliance.
International Folk Alliance right here in Kansas City.
Okay.
It is a community of folk musicians, bluegrass musicians, Americana, any type of acoustic instrument you could possibly think of is brought there.
Nice.
Things you couldn't possibly think of are
Right.
brought there. And every year they host at the Westin Hotel. They rent, I'm pretty sure, the entire building, the Westin Hotel of Crown Center.
Right.
And they have like a 5-day experience where in the ballrooms they'll have people from all over the world playing, but in the rooms they'll have showcases. So they take out the beds and it's no bigger than this room here, and maybe a little bigger than this room here, and they have the musicians, and
Wow.
you go from room to room
Nice.
and see things from all over the world. The International Folk Alliance. I saw this room with Larry and Joe, which has been my newest, probably the coolest new thing I've seen. They are mixing bluegrass and folk with Larry's from Venezuela, so I can't remember the specific music that they play,
Sure.
but that Venezuelan kind of traditional music.
Yeah.
They're mixing bluegrass and those things, and
Nice.
they're both bilingual. Fluent, and so they're singing in both languages, like
You're gonna have to
in
send
the
me
same
something.
song. I'm going to send you
Whenever
something.
you have a thing you can send on.
Yeah. It's amazing. And I didn't know. I knew this happened. I showed up years ago and stumbled into it almost. And there's a couple old guys playing guitar. And I was like, this is really cool. I enjoyed it, but I don't know if I'd pay like $100 for it.
But this happens every year.
This happens every year, and or however much it is. And yeah, it happens every year. Well, this year, my friends with the Whiskey Mash Band, they're bluegrass musicians. Billy Brady and Johnny Gleason, they have a band, and they hosted a room, one of those rooms that were showcased. And they have late night stuff all the way till 3 a.m.
Sure.
And so I got off work, 10, 11 o'clock at night, and went and picked up my instrument and showed up, and, they let me, I was a musician, so
Yeah.
they let me in. If you're a musician, show up. And,
Nice.
I ended up seeing a bunch of shows, and then I ended up playing with them on a couple of shows, spontaneously, and we're end up playing in the lobby of the Westin Hotel till 6 a.m.
Damn.
Just sitting around in a big circle,
So-
just jamming out.
Does it happen like it's relatively the same weekend or week every year?
Yeah, I think it's in February every year.
So it just happened?
Just happened.
Oh, shit.
Like, I had no idea. Like, I thought it was just a couple of people sitting around playing guitars. No, it was one of the coolest networking experiences I've ever had as a musician.
Wow.
Like, I mean, from people from all over the world.
Yeah.
Larry is from Venezuela, Larry and Joe. And then I saw right after them Northern Resonance from Sweden.
Okay.
They played instruments that were all resonating instruments. So two of them looked like things that looked like violins, but they were called, could not tell you.
Sure.
They were...
They look like violins.
They
though.
looked like violins, but when you hit one string, there's resonating strings underneath them.
Whoa.
That like play different notes when you play different notes. And then another guy played it looked like a viola, but it had buttons. So he pressed buttons, and that also resonated. So they're all resonating instruments. We've never heard of.
Try and wrap an acid brain around how that's happening. Right? Yeah, exactly.
Whoa. And so. Yeah.
That's fun.
It was so much fun.
Anything on the calendar, show-wise?
On the calendar, for me specifically, Moonshroom and Whiskey Mash Band is playing at Record Bar this weekend.
Oh, okay.
It's Saturday.
Okay.
Yep, that'll be a lot of fun. Whiskey Mash, they came out with, do you know Winfield?
Yeah.
Bluegrass Festival? Yeah. They came out with the commercial song for Winfield last year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they they played 6 gigs.
As long as it's not Wagon Wheel.
No, it's not Wagon Wheel. No, it's not. They played like 6 gigs at Winfield last year.
Cool.
6 times, 6 slots, and their song "Winfield Bound" was like their 50th anniversary theme song.
Right.
Which is really cool. He's on the same bill of Bela Fleck.
Okay.
On the poster, he's on that. He's very cool. He's probably my most prolific musician right now.
So
it was fun too, honestly. The Bluegrass Boys know how to throw down.
So if you had to, could you take all of your LSD experiences and distill them into a message, or communicate what it has been or meant, or anything like that?
I would say, whatever it is that's happening to you in your life, whatever experiences you're going through, whatever emotions you're feeling, make it yours. Because you cannot control the emotions that are happening in your brain. You can't control the way you feel sometimes. But own it and make it yours. And then also empathy. Empathy's been the biggest one. I've learned more through empathy than anything else.
There's not enough of it in the world.
There's not.
Person to person. I mean,
empathy can be scary. So
yeah.
Why would I want to feel what another person feels?
Yeah.
I have enough to deal with.
I know.
But if we feel it together, it helps.
Yeah.
Because we can be we can laugh about those things together, and we can cry about those things together.
Sure.
We can share the women, and we can share the
that's your third dead lyric, I think. Very nice.
They're still forever my favorite. I didn't list them here.
Yeah.
But I can't sing all of the words to any song, but I can sing most of the words to most of the Grateful Dead songs. Right. I just grew up on them.
Yeah.
I don't even care to go out of my way to listen or go see them or any about that. But
so along that line of empathy, I mean, how does the world feel to you right now?
Currently?
Yeah.
It's a very fine balance of hope and despair.
It feels vulnerable, I think.
It feels vulnerable. You're right. It can, like a potential, an opportunity vulnerability. There's a lot of opportunity, and we've put ourselves in a weird, vulnerable spot, but there's a lot of opportunity to be a lot better than we are. And to just talk to one another, to have these conversations we're having right now, talk about anything, and talk about everything.
Yeah.
Just talk about it
at the same time.
Don't just if it makes you angry, well then stop.
Yeah.
Take a breath.
Yeah.
And talk about it.
Right.
If it makes you happy, stop and take a breath.
Yeah.
And talk about it.
So I want to make sure that I'm saying your last name right. Since we Hallowell,
Hallowell, like a
Hallowell.
Well.
Okay, so describe the difference in perspective regarding very young Ian Hollowell's view of adulthood versus what it actually turned out to be.
I really was excited for adulthood. I was really like, oh, I'm gonna be doing all of this. I wanted to go to college and be a football player and march in band and do this and that and this and that. And I was driven. I was at school in high school for like 14 hours a day up until my sophomore year when I started doing smoking weed every day and that would do it to anyone. Don't do drugs. You will drop out of school. And do drugs after school.
Right.
Just don't do like you will drop out of school.
Right.
But now I want to relax.
Yeah.
I work a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
2 summers ago, I worked for Casey Taco, and we were really struggling. People getting there. I worked 70 hours a week on my feet, open to close. And
it's not fun.
No, it's not. And I made a lot of money, but money isn't worth anything if you're not happy.
No.
Money does not buy you happiness. It can buy you things that can make you happy, but you have to have the right mindset for those things to make you happy. If you're worried about money the whole time you're doing those things, it's not going to make you happy.
No. So do you have any bucket list items or accomplishments, professionally or personally? Things that goals, I guess.
Professionally and personally, both at the same time, jam cruise.
Jam cruise.
Yeah.
You want to be an attendant?
You want attendant or to play maybe one day.
Okay.
I mean, we're currently right now, we don't have our own material, enough of our own material to like put out, and it wouldn't be our scene of what we do right now.
Right.
But I could see us like growing into that. But really, right now, yes, just go.
So the idea, have you been on a cruise before?
No.
The idea,
a cruise in general.
That doesn't freak you out at all?
No, I love boats actually.
Okay.
And I guess I've never been out on the ocean.
Right. That's what I'm talking about.
Be a little different.
That's what I'm talking about.
Maybe I should check that out.
Well,
first,
I mean, the ocean is part of a cruise, I think.
Right. Well, no, I've been to the ocean. I've swam in the ocean.
Sure.
I've been on a boat in the ocean, but
out
it's
there,
been mellow.
Way out there.
Yeah, it's been mellow.
Anyway,
my one thing too, though, is I don't like. I can spin around in a circle in this chair all day long and then stop. And yes, I'd be dizzy, but I wouldn't throw up. I wouldn't have motion sickness.
Right.
It's kind of. I would laugh a lot.
Yeah.
It'd be hilarious.
No, I'm not worried about being seasick. I'm worried about crashing and drowning and sharks and shit like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. See,
it's totally irrational, but
yeah, I don't think that would bother me. I think there'd be a lot worse.
You'd be like, jam cruise, man. That's jam cruise. What are you talking about?
Like, well, I better just play this sweet serenade as we all sink into the ocean and die.
So if you found out tomorrow that you were the recipient of an incalculable inheritance, or you won the lottery or whatever, you'd have a shit more money than you can count. Does your life look immediately different? And if so, how?
It looks immediately the same. My family's life would look immediately
Okay.
I already do everything I want to do, just not necessarily everywhere I want to do it.
Right.
I like working. I like cooking. I like cooking for the masses of people.
Sure.
But I don't necessarily want to do it all day, every day, all the time. But it really, the first thing I would do is, make sure all of my family, with whatever they're doing, is just taken care of.
Amen.
And then after that, I'd get in a car I wouldn't have to worry about, like that's new,
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. It would just be, but it really wouldn't look any different. I would just work on what I'm doing now, but probably with a more stress-free comfortability.
Amen. Yeah.
That's about it.
You ever given any thought to what kind of person you want to be remembered as, or what you want to be remembered for, or does that kind of thing not? Some people don't care, don't give a shit.
Right. I do think about that.
Okay. And what sort of thoughts are associated?
I want to help people.
Okay.
And that's part of the reason why I want to be a musician, because the best way to help as many people as possible is through music.
Amen. Yeah. Fucking A.
Think about how many people fish has helped.
And, yeah.
You know, like
yeah.
how many people, like, even if all you do is just you go and you make your whole economy in your life based around fish, those people are usually pretty fucking happy.
Yeah.
You know, and they have something that drives them.
Well,
you know,
and this has looked way different for me over the decades that I've been listening to. Mostly I love the people. Sometimes the people are a small part of it. Sometimes they're a very big part of it.
It's a big crowd.
But what I like maybe more than the actual people is the shared love. You know, we're all here for the same thing, and discover, like, you know, I've talked in a couple of episodes about this period, which I'm not exactly still sure when it happened or what timeline, but sort of arriving at this place where my life's inventory is sort of all unpacked and on a shelf or a table, and it's visible, and sort of being like understanding who I am better and being happy or content with, you know, it's okay that this happened at this age and it pivoted me this way. And instead of being like, it's not fair, just being like, you know what, it's fine.
Right.
And, you know, I just didn't know the experience of listening to Fish live and studio was a thing that I needed.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was there, and it was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I feel wholer.
Right.
Than I ever have. I mean, LSD and mushroom, no disrespect to them. They did their
music is so much deeper than that.
Absolutely. And so it's like seeing a piece of a fabric of a musician's life or experiences, but just for a second, and then and maybe another day down the road you catch it again in a lyric or a portion of the music. But I mean, I'll never be able. My two kids are named after him. I mean, I'll never be able to measure. Adeline is 12 and Alehu is 9. Awesome. I mean, so it was nothing particularly special about Sweet Adeline or Sample in a Jar. I love both, but it was a way for me to, you know. Anyway, that's, I mean, that's great. Helping people and music is a great vehicle for doing so.
The two best ways to put a smile on anyone's face is good food, good music.
Right.
That's every single person on the entire earth.
That's right. Absolutely.
Even if you're deaf, the vibrations and the energy that the people enjoying will bring that out of people.
That sounds like a really good message to end on. I wish that I had 2 more pages and 5 more records to talk to you about, but
we could set up something else another time.
Right,
you know?
right.
It could always be a part 2.
Well, so Ian Hallowell, thank you so much for being here, and you know, side props for having phenomenal taste in music and giving me.
That's what I'm here for, is sharing music.
Man,
even if it's not my music, I'm here to share music.
The thing is, it's like. No disrespect to the other 4 on your list, but that Marbin
is literally hands
I don't
down,
know where to go with it. It's like
it's the cutting edge of music.
If I give it to somebody and they don't immediately covet it, I'm gonna be like, I don't know if I need you in my life.
Trust me,
I'm scared.
I've already done the opposite of that, where a new coworker was I showed them Marbin and they fell in love, and then it turns out they were like not as cool as I thought they were, and I'm like, oh, but I wanted you to be so goddamn but what, I gave that to you.
I was inside of you. How did I?
It's like, damn it.
Oh, bummer. Well, I mean, you gave him a gift.
No, it did give him a gift, and I hope they're fine. They're a good person, but yeah.
All right, man. Let's get you out of here. Thank you again. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Seriously,
all right, man.
Fun.
Cheers.